Have you ever stood at the edge of something and felt that the world was holding its breath? Imagine a small island. The sea is flat and gray, the air is perfectly still, no wind moves the grass, no birds call from the rocks. Everything is quiet, too quiet. A supply boat approaches the island slowly. The man at the front of the boat notices something. The lighthouse lamp is dark. It has not turned all night. That is unusual. That is very unusual. Lighthouse keepers do not simply stop working. They do not leave their post. They do not let the lamp go dark. But when the men on the boat finally stepped onto the island, they found something that made no sense at all. The lighthouse was empty. 3 men had been living there. Now they were simply gone. No note, no struggle, no reason. This is the story of what happened before that morning. And it is the story of one man who refused to stop looking for the truth. Nathan was 34 years old. He worked as a maritime investigator in a small coastal office. His job was to find answers when things went wrong at sea. He had brown hair that was always a little too long. He wore the same gray coat every day. His colleagues sometimes said he looked like he had not slept in a week. Most of the time, they were right. Nathan lived alone in a small flat above a fish market. Every morning he woke to the smell of salt and cold air. He drank black coffee and read old case files before sunrise. He had a habit that caused him problems. He could not let go of unfinished cases. He would carry them home, spread papers across his kitchen table, and stay awake until his eyes burned. His supervisor had warned him twice already. He needed to close cases, not collect them. Nathan understood this. He agreed even. But then a new file would arrive, and the habit would begin again. The file that arrived one Tuesday morning was different from all the others. It was thin, only 3 pages. But the 3 pages described something that Nathan could not explain. 3 lighthouse keepers, 1 island, 1 calm December day. Gone. Nathan read the file 3 times at his desk. Then he read it again at home. The facts were simple, but they did not fit together. The 3 men had been stationed at Alien Moor Lighthouse for 4 weeks. Their names were James, Thomas, and Donald. All 3 were experienced. All 3 had worked in lighthouses before. None of them had any reason to leave. The last log entry was written by James. He described the weather as calm. He described the sea as flat. He wrote that everything was normal. Then the writing stopped. Nathan noticed something. The entry before the last one described a great storm. James had written that the storm was the worst he had ever seen. He had written that the men were frightened, but the official weather records showed no storm. Not that week. Not anywhere near the island. Something small changed that day. Nathan stopped treating this as a simple disappearance. He began to believe the men had experienced something that the records could not explain. His colleague, a woman named Rosa, passed his door and stopped. She looked at the map. She looked at Nathan. She told him quietly that the case was already closed. Nathan did not turn around. He kept looking at the map. He believed the storm was real. He believed the men had seen it, and he believed they had not simply walked away. Nathan requested access to the original logbook. His supervisor, a man named Director Harlow, called him into his office the next morning. Harlow placed both hands flat on the desk. He told Nathan very clearly that the case had been reviewed and closed by 3 senior investigators. He told Nathan that opening it again would reflect poorly on the department. He told him to move on. Nathan sat still. He said he understood. He returned to his desk, but that afternoon, he sent a formal request to the National Maritime Archive. He asked for the original logbook, the supply ship records, and the personal letters found on the island. 3 days later, his request was returned. Denied. The materials were classified for historical preservation. Access required special departmental approval. Nathan went to Rosa. He told her what he had found about the storm entries. He showed her the difference between the logbook and the weather records. She listened carefully. Then she told him something he did not want to hear. She said that 2 other investigators had noticed the same thing years ago. Both had been asked to stop. One had left the department, the other had never spoken about it again. Nathan drove home in silence. He sat in his car in the car park for 40 minutes. He stared at the steering wheel. He had not simply found a confusing case. He had found something that others had tried to bury. That night was the worst. Nathan could not sleep. He lay on top of his bed, still in his gray coat. The ceiling above him was dark. He thought about the 3 men, James, Thomas, Donald. They had been real people. They had families. They had eaten their last meal on that island, and someone had cleared their plates. Or maybe no one had. Maybe the food had simply sat there until the boat arrived. He felt something heavy in his chest. Not fear. Sadness. He sat up. He walked to his kitchen. He stood at the window. The harbor was dark. One small light moved slowly across the water. A boat, far out. He thought about the lamp going dark. 3 men whose job was to keep that light burning. They knew what it meant. Ships could hit rocks. People could die. They would not have left. Something made them go. He sat down on the kitchen floor, not in a chair, the floor. He felt very small. His phone showed 4 missed calls from his supervisor. A message said he had been assigned to a different case. The lighthouse file was to be returned to the archive by Friday. He had until Friday. 4 days. He sat on the floor for a long time. Then he picked up his phone. He did not call Harlow back. He called the one person he thought might still have answers. The person Nathan called was an old man named Arthur. Arthur had spent 30 years working for the Maritime Authority before retiring to a small house near the coast. Arthur did not seem surprised by the call. He said he had been waiting for someone to ask. He told Nathan to come and see him. Not to bring official documents, just to come. Nathan drove 3 hours along the coast road the next morning. The sea was on his left the whole way, gray and wide and very still. Arthur's house was small and white, sitting close to the cliff edge. Inside, it smelled of wood and old paper. Arthur was a thin man with white hair and careful eyes. He made 2 cups of tea and sat across from Nathan. He did not offer big answers. He offered something smaller and more useful. He said that the logbook had a second section. A personal section written by Thomas, the youngest keeper. That section had never appeared in any official report. Nathan felt something change quietly inside him. Not excitement, steadiness, like a floor becoming solid under his feet. Arthur described what Thomas had written. Thomas had recorded not a storm of weather, but a storm of sound, a deep and constant sound that came from beneath the sea. It had lasted for 3 days. It had made all 3 men feel afraid in a way they could not explain. Have you ever felt something you could not explain, but knew was real? Nathan understood now. The men had not gone mad. They had not run away. Something had happened to them, and Thomas had written it down. Nathan returned home that evening with one clear goal. He needed to find Thomas's personal log section. Arthur believed a copy existed. He believed it was held by Thomas's surviving daughter. Her name was Margaret. She lived in a small town 2 hours north. Nathan found her address through public records. He wrote her a letter by hand, not an official letter, a personal one. He explained who he was. He told her he was not from any official department. He told her only that he believed her father had seen something real, and that he wanted to understand it. He posted the letter the next morning. Then he waited. Each morning he checked his letterbox. Each morning it was empty. He continued working on his assigned case during the day. At night, he returned to his notes. On the 5th day, a letter arrived. It was written in neat, careful handwriting. Margaret said she remembered the logbook. She said her father had kept a copy hidden inside a wooden box. She said she still had the box. She would meet him. Saturday, her kitchen table. Nathan stood in his hallway for a moment. He breathed slowly, one small step. That was all it had been, a handwritten letter, and now a door was opening. He allowed himself one small feeling of hope. Then he went back to work. Saturday came with pale sunlight. Nathan drove north with his notepad, 2 pens, and a thermos of coffee. Margaret was a woman in her 60s with her father's careful eyes. She welcomed Nathan into a warm kitchen. On the table was a wooden box, dark with age. She opened it slowly. Inside were folded papers, written in small, precise handwriting. Thomas had written every day for the last 2 weeks of his posting. His words were calm and clear. He was not a frightened man. He was a careful observer. Nathan read for 2 hours. Margaret refilled his tea twice. Outside, the pale sun moved across the sky. After 3 days of the strange sound, Thomas had written something important. He had noted the direction. The sound came from the northwest. It matched exactly the location of an underwater geological feature called a seismic vent. Nathan knew this term. It was a place where the earth moved beneath the ocean floor. That was the first breakthrough. After 1 week of working with the documents, Nathan found the second. A supply ship from a different route had reported the same sound on the same dates, 40 kilometers away. The sound was real. It was recorded. It was not in the men's minds. And then something more. Something small changed everything. Thomas had written one final note. He had written that Donald had gone to the outer rocks to investigate the sound. He had written that James had followed. Thomas had written that he was going after them. That was the last entry. Nathan brought his findings to Rosa on Monday morning. He laid everything on her desk. She read carefully. She asked good questions. She agreed that the evidence was significant. Together they prepared a formal report. They requested a meeting with Director Harlow. They believed the evidence was strong enough to reopen the case officially. Harlow called them in on Wednesday afternoon. He read the report. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said something unexpected. He said the seismic vent theory had already been investigated. Privately. 16 years ago, a team of geologists had been sent to the island. Their report concluded that the vent could not have produced sound strong enough to affect human behavior. The report had not been published. Harlow had not known about it either until now. Someone above Harlow had ordered the investigation years ago, and then ordered it buried. Nathan felt the ground shift beneath him. All that work, all those pages, and someone had already been there before him. He walked to the car park. He sat on a low wall. The wind came in from the sea. It was cold. He thought about the geologists. He thought about the buried report. He thought about the 2 investigators Rosa had mentioned weeks ago. He thought about how many people had come close to this truth and been turned away. For the first time, he asked himself if it was worth continuing. Nathan sat on that wall for 20 minutes. Then he stood up. He had a different thought now. If someone had buried a report, that report still existed somewhere. He went back inside. He did not go to his desk. He went to the department's records room. He asked the archive officer, a quiet young man named Ben, about historical geological reports commissioned by the Maritime Authority. Ben looked uncertain, but Nathan was calm and specific. He gave exact dates. He gave the island name. He gave the name of the authority division that would have commissioned the work. Ben searched for 40 minutes. He found a reference number. The report existed. It had been filed under a different category, marked as a geological survey, not a maritime investigation. It had never been linked to the disappearance case. Nathan requested it through the correct internal channel. This time, the request could not be denied. It was a public department document. Ben printed the form. Nathan signed it. The report arrived in 3 days. Nathan read it twice. The geologists had confirmed the vent. They had confirmed the sound, but they had added one more finding, quietly, in the final paragraph. The sound had a specific frequency. At close range, that frequency caused extreme feelings of fear and confusion in human beings. It was not harmful, but it was overwhelming. The three men had not chosen to leave. The sound had driven them to the rocks. In their confusion, in the dark, they had simply fallen. It was not a mystery. It was a tragedy, and someone had known for 16 years. Nathan stood at the edge of the harbor on a gray morning. The sea was flat and still. The air was perfectly still. No wind moved the water. He had been here before, in a way, at the edge of something, holding his breath. But something was different now. He was not waiting. He was not afraid. He was standing still because he had chosen to, not because he did not know what to do next. He had submitted the full report to 3 separate bodies. The National Maritime Authority, a historical justice organization, and a journalist named Clara who wrote about cold cases for a respected publication. He had also written to Margaret. He had told her what had happened to her father. He had told her it was not madness. It was not cowardice. It was sound. It was geology. It was something no one could have prepared for. She had written back in 3 days. She had used only a few words. But those words had stayed with him. She had written that she could finally breathe. Clara's article was published 6 weeks later. It was read widely. The buried geological report became public. The Maritime Authority issued a formal statement acknowledging what had happened to James, Thomas, and Donald. No trial, no punishment, but an acknowledgement, a name given to the truth. Nathan looked out at the sea. 3 men had kept a light burning on a dark island. They had done their job until the very last moment. Now, finally, their story was alight too. Weeks passed. The case was officially reclassified. It was no longer a disappearance. It was recorded as a tragedy caused by a natural geological event. Nathan returned to his regular work, but he carried something different with him now, a steadiness. A way of sitting with difficult things without being crushed by them. Rosa noticed. She asked him one morning what had changed. He thought for a moment. Then he said something simple. He told her that the truth does not disappear. It only waits. One afternoon, a young investigator named Peter arrived at the department. He was 26. He had just been assigned a case that had been officially closed. He looked uncertain. He looked like he did not know if it was worth pursuing. Nathan walked over. He sat beside Peter. He did not give a long speech. He just asked Peter to tell him what the file said. Peter talked. Nathan listened, and slowly, Peter's shoulders relaxed. Someone was listening. Someone believed that the question was worth asking. The truth does not disappear. It only waits. 3 men had stood on a dark island and kept a light burning. Nathan had kept a different kind of light burning for them. And now, perhaps Peter would carry it forward. Have you ever held on to something that everyone else said to let go? Perhaps that quiet feeling was telling you something true.